Hello YouTube, Robin Hood Bricks here, and today, for Fairground Friday, I'm going to try and attempt a challenge I received as part of Brick Hall 100 to take this Legoland exclusive set and motorise it. Ooh! So the basic set that we're going to be using today is 40429 Ninjago World, which is a Legoland exclusive set, which means you can only really buy it from a Legoland park if you're near one. The UK park is in Windsor, which I'm nowhere near, so it was really good to receive this from Harry, Toby and their dad as part of Brick Hall 100. And included in this set, well, the main bit, if you will, is the Ninjago ride, which is a real life ride, and it is called Ninjago the Ride, so very imaginative there. And it's one where you kind of sit in a car that goes sideways, and you kind of make ninja moves like karate chops and stuff like that, and then it fires, well, imaginative bolts, but in this case we've got stud shooters at video screens, essentially, with Ninjago baddies on. And there's one on the back there, and there's another one on the back of this bit that you can't really see at the moment. And essentially you get a score at the end and your photograph, I am reliably told. So you get something like that at the end. And that's a good souvenir of the day. So if I'm going to include this ride in my fairground, then it will have to be motorised, because I'm not having any ones that you just push along with your finger. This one over here hasn't got a motor on it at the moment, but all the others I've wired up, apart from a couple that are in the Lego build room that are still having a bit of work done to them or whatever. And turn on a load more. Don't worry about this one going rather too fast, it just needs gearing down again. I just used those parts elsewhere. So it's really noisy, as you can tell, so I'm just going to turn all of those off again, but you get an idea of what we're going for. Now, one ride I didn't turn on then was the bumper car, and that's just because it's going, well, not really maintenance, just a bit of a change really, because to motorise all of these rides, obviously I need a heck of a lot of motors, and this one was using two, one here for the main belt and another one just for the individual bumper car that was going round and round in circles. So to liberate that motor, so I can use it on today's build, I've done a second kind of chain mechanism, where this one's spinning, turns another gear underneath it, which is linked to this one by another belt, and that will turn the other wheel with a magnet on. So that should work fine, and we can use that motor that's been liberated for today's build, as I say. Right, so let's just check that does actually work now I've made the changes, before I can really use that motor guilt-free. And there we go. So we've got the four here on the main belt. This one's deliberately unoccupied, and then we've got the one going round and round in circles here. And if anything, I think he's going a bit faster now. Obviously there's a slightly different gear ratio, but that just adds to the mayhem, so I don't mind that at all. Cool, right, down to the build desk. Okay, so we're on the build desk now, and I have opened the set and built it, and here it is in all of its glory. Now, I'm not going to do a full review of it or anything, but I will run through briefly each of the parts because it's quite important for today's build. So here is the ride element, and these two carriages kind of slide to and fro along this curved track. And I do think it's quite clever that they've used this roller coaster car pieces sideways like this. It's very novel, so that's good. And built into those are the sensors for your 3D karate chops. And I failed to mention before, actually, that when you're viewing these video screens, they are all 3D. So basically all the images are coming up right in front of your face, and that's why you're karate chopping them. And it would have been really nice if, like on the real ride, you were wearing 3D glasses. And I think some heads with 3D glasses on would have been absolutely fantastic and usable in lots of different scenarios as well. But unfortunately, we haven't got that. But we do have these really nice Ninjago branded stickers on the front to give the carriages a bit of life. So I like that very much, but at the moment it's a bit rickety. It slides quite easily, so that's a good start. Then we've got the main building, which is kind of a big pagoda, and I very much like the sticker in there and the sticker here saying Ninjago. And in the original build, this has the photo booth, which we'll come to on one side, and I've kind of swapped it out, so we've got the two normal sort of sides that are symmetrical, and indeed they've got the big screens on with the Ninjago baddies that you're trying to defeat. So we've got the big sort of skeleton bone people over here, whose name I don't know, and the big nasty snake man over here, whose name I don't know. And well, for it to work, we're going to have to put both of those screens kind of facing the riders and in front of them as well, so they can kind of zap them with their stud shooters or their karate chops. So that's a bit of a shame because we won't be able to see the front of these screens. So I think these two buildings I'm going to take off the central pagoda and have sort of mounted here, one on either side. And then the main bit can be central at the back because it's got the nice bit of height, and maybe that's how you get onto the ride. Then we'll have to have this, which is a very nice setup for your photos, and it gives you your score and your actual photos. These are just 2x2 tiles that we can have some people picking up. So I can put that to one side as well. And then I don't think I'm going to need this. It's kind of like a second gate, a second entrance. So as a result, I have saved the stickers that would come with the columns there or on the sign there for Ninjago, because I might use these pieces for something else, but that's fine. And likewise, this is for a map of the fairground, and I might use that. It's a nice little build, but again, I think we've already got quite a lot of parts here for a ride. It's already going to take up quite a bit of space if those two are kind of here and then these two are kind of at the back. So anyway, we have liberated our motor. So really we need to start thinking about how we're going to make this side-to-side motion be motorized. I don't think it's going to be that easy. Now, I always thought that Harry and Toby's challenge was going to be a difficult one, getting this ride motorised, but in a very reliable way so it can be used for a long period of time in my fairground. But I don't think until I really tried to address it that I realised how difficult it was going to be. And I have basically tried a number of different methods, none of which were successful until the last one, which is the one I'm going to show you. And I won't go through all of the things I tried in much detail because it would take far too long. But we've got a number of challenges that are inherent in this system in that we haven't really got much to grab onto on the back of or on the sides of either of these carriages to make them go. But worse than that, we've got to have motion in two directions. One for a little bit that way and then one for a little bit back. So we can't have anything continually pushing from a motor in one direction because, well, it'll get to the end pretty quickly, but then it'll have nowhere to go. So that's where the challenge really lies. So the first method I tried was to tilt the whole thing using gravity. So pretty much doing what my hands are doing here and moving the entire ride so it would kind of slide to one end and then the other. But this motion that I'm doing with my hand might be quite easy for me to do in real life, but to do it with Lego is next to impossible. Basically, this has got quite a bit of weight and the angles have to be just right, and then the timing has to be just right because you can't have it going back before it's got to the end and so on. And it just wasn't reliable. In fact, it was breaking quite a lot, quite frankly. And this was the most frustrating method that I stuck with for the longest, but really didn't get anywhere. And to be honest, I've tried this method before with a different ride that didn't work. And well, I've just given up basically. So if you can make that work, then you're definitely better than me. A second method I thought I could do was to have a spinning wheel at each end. And this would kind of be like a tyre on a vehicle. And basically when it got to the end, it would be spinning really quickly and would kind of catapult this to the other end where it would hit the other wheel, which would catapult it back. But the sad thing is, although I could get that going, every time it hit, it would either just knock it just a little bit forward and never to the entire other end where it'd need to go for another kick, or it would do it so fast and violently that these people would definitely be sick while they were trying to do their judo chops. So essentially that was not going to work either. That really didn't have much legs in it at all, so that was abandoned quite quickly. So what I actually settled upon was to actually do the equivalent of my fingers that I'm doing here, to have something hitting that side, then hitting that side, and kind of doing this sort of a motion. Now that does mean that we're going to have some physical elements that are moving above the ground that are actually physically hitting this thing to push it from side to side. But it's the only way I can think of to make it reliably work, and in a way that it doesn't sort of peter out and end up stuck in the middle with all the motion going on without the carriages moving at all. So that's what I'm going to show you as my method, and if you can think of anything better, then please do let me know. Right, so my mechanism that's going to be hitting these carriages in alternating directions is here, and it's pretty simple. I should explain for people that are new to the channel that I have a 3 brick height cavity underneath my Fairground ground level. So that would be the sort of normal ground level that you'd see, and that contains all of the workings and the motors and the wires and everything else. So don't be worrying that all these rainbow bricks are visible, because they'll soon be covered up by a surface level up here. But essentially I've got where we're going to be attaching the motor on this long axle that goes to both of these 2 gearboxes, and they've got a beveled gear inside them, and then we can add another beveled gear on top of that and kind of secure that in position like that. And then when we put what will be the ground level on the top there, we've got 2 turning axles, and then on each of those we can kind of put an arm. So we'll do it like that, and then when this spins it'll get a thwack from this side, and then it will get a thwack from that side, and when we get the timing right, that should push both of these carriages from side to side. Well, that's the theory anyway. So what I'm going to do next is just add all of the bright green plates to kind of conceal all of this mechanism, put on our medium motor that we liberated and battery box, and then we can see if it'll work. Right, so that's mainly concealed. I'll just put the last one over the motor on this side. Okay, and let's give that a quick test. Okay, so we're going to get a thwack from this one to go that way, and then we're going to get a thwack from that one to go back. And you can see what I mean about it being quite visible above the surface, but I don't think there's much we can do about that. Maybe later we can disguise it a little bit. Anyway, if I take these cars off, now I'm going to leave behind all of these little platforms just so we can get this really sort of flush with the surface. And I think we're going to have it about there. And then we can do our first test run. So we'll put the 2 cars on so they can swing freely. Yep, looking pretty good. Right, so here is our inaugural run. Well, it's working. You could say it's a little bit fast, and that might make you a little bit ill. But the only problem is if we turn down the speed, then it hasn't got enough oomph to get to the other side. So we have to go that fast. And this is really the best method that I've come across. So although it looks a bit like it might break your neck after a while, or at least give you whiplash, I think that's the best we're going to get with this 2-way motion. Yeah. The good thing is you can keep it going for a long time, and I have done that, and it really does keep going and never sort of stalls. And I think that was one of the main problems that I encountered with all sorts of other methods, that it'd be fine for a little bit, but then it would kind of peter out. So yeah, I think that's quite good. But what I'm really going to have to do is decorate it, I think, to make this look a little better, and for this bit to look a lot less mechanical. Right, so decorating these isn't as easy as you'd think, because, well, it's got to allow the axle to pass through, of course, without interfering with it. So you need a brick with a hole in the middle. So I added these 4x4 round bricks, and I thought they kind of looked like tree stumps, or maybe even those kind of training devices that they do on those ninja sets where you've kind of got sticks coming off them, and maybe this is something you're supposed to sort of duck and then jump or something like that. And I thought I could kind of camouflage the top by maybe continuing it a little bit more kind of like that. So that looks a little less mechanical, though still pretty mechanical, I must agree. And then I thought I could take it a little bit further, because why do we have to use Technic axles to be batting this thing from side to side? I mean, I used that in development for, well, convenience really, but we could technically use anything. So if I pull up those axles and replace them with ones that are slightly shorter, put on a smooth tile as well, do this on the other side, then yep, I'm hoping that I'll be able to reuse these pieces here, but attach something into the axle holes there, because these ones have got the cross on, so they can actually connect with the axle and will go round. So there we go. And I thought, what better for ninja training than a ninja sword? So basically I could put one of those in on each side, one there and one there. Now I imagine these wouldn't be sharp and would be fake swords, but it kind of adds to the sort of ninja training type sort of motif, and maybe that looks a lot less mechanical now. So if I pull all these parts out of the way, and then just to make it even better, I thought I'd make a little construct here that's made out of a sort of throwing star and one of these stabby things. What are they, Kai or something like that? And I thought that could kind of go, say, like that, and have one on this side as well. Like that. And then maybe we could even have Master Wu from the Lego Ninjago movie series kind of looking after things and making sure that the training is going well. So maybe I could put him there. Let's see if he doesn't get hit there. It looks a very perilous place to stand, I must say. But let's see if this works. And that would make it a lot more sort of thematic and not as mechanical. And, well, add a nice bit of peril to it, really. So here we go. And that works just as well, doesn't it? And what's better with this method is that it seems to be a little more quiet, actually. Maybe the sort of slightly bendy nature of the swords makes for a kind of smoother connection than these older axle pieces. But yeah, I think Master Wu really adds to it as well. So that's good. Brilliant. So I think that is a reliable ride. I mean, it does look a bit odd, I grant you, but I think when we've surrounded it with, say, the temple door, like that, and then maybe the targets as well, which we'll have to sort of add on at a kind of angle, kind of, I don't know, something like that, then I think it will look like a really good ride. Now, it will take up quite a bit of space, which is a bit of a problem in my Fairground, but nonetheless, I think it'll look very pretty indeed. So, what do you think of that ninja ride? And arguably we need a name for this, because although it says Ninjago on each of the cars, and it says Ninjago at the back there, I think Ninjago the Ride is the most boring name ever. So maybe we should just call it Ninjago Training or Ninja Training or something like that. But yeah, I think it's pretty good. It's quite hypnotic. Now I think I'll have these screens a little bit further out when I put them in their final position, but for now I'm going to perch them on each of the corners here, and to do that I'm going to use the power of a 3-4-5 right angled triangle so I can get a nice angle on them. So 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, put down 2 studs, and then the 6 long base of this will be able to fit on because there's 5 distance between the first stud and the 6th one. So a 3-4-5 triangle, and that is a legal building technique, so that's all right. So we've got both of the screens there facing the riders, and we've got the photo booth at the back and the gate there. And I'll probably have these, as I say, slightly further out, but otherwise I think that is pretty good. So what do you think, Harry, Toby and their dad? Do you think that I have achieved the challenge that you set of me incorporating this ride into my Fairground? I think I've done it pretty good justice, actually. It definitely took a while. But yeah, I really like it. The splash of red colour alone is absolutely fantastic. And Master Wu is a great addition as well in there. So yeah, looking good. Best take this up to the fairground. Well, I think that ride works perfectly in my fairground. A very welcome splash of red in amongst all of the other colours. So I'll just put that on so we can see that in motion. Obviously, all of these rides need kind of putting together and all the gaps filling in and all the rest, and then the food stalls and all the rest adding as well. But yeah, I think that works really well. It's a very different sort of shape of motion than all of the others, if I put all of them on. And I may as well do the rest as well, so we can have a real cacophony. And all of those as well. So yeah, I think that's a really good addition to the fairground. A nice to and fro motion to go with all of the different spinning and bobbing and up and down motion that we've got in all the others. Yeah, really good addition. Well, I can't hear myself think, so I'm just going to turn these two big groups off until we've just got R1. Oh, and the Dodgems, forgot about those. But yeah, a really good success. So thanks very much for watching, as always. It is greatly appreciated. Do remember to like, comment and subscribe for more awesome LEGO videos. And if you value this channel, there are many ways in which you can support it. So do check out the links in the description below. And next time on Robin Hood Bricks, well, it'll be Monday. I don't know if we'll be getting on with another version of the, or another edition of the Daily Bugle build or what. But then on Wednesday, we'll be going back to my normal hauls, collecting bricks for my other builds like trains and all the rest that are coming up. And then on Friday, well, I guess we'll be back here to do another one of these because it'll be good to get this whole area done and finished so we can move on to the undersea cabinet. So anyway, whatever we get up to, I'm sure we'll have great fun. So until then, see you!